Really?
I've like turned down so many podcasts because I always think like I have nothing of value to really say. I do not like I'm very just like fly by the seat of my pants, not an eloquent speaker. And so I'm like, nah, I don't need to do podcasts. But then your sweet email to Steph, she's like, you really should talk to these guys. And so I thought, whatever, I'll do it. So yeah, you guys are my first podcast.
That is awesome.
Yay. I have a girl on the team. She wants us to like host our own podcast really bad. And
Yeah.
so I thought, you know what, maybe I'll do this podcast and maybe I'll fall in love with it and we'll have a podcast in 6 months.
Yeah.
We'll see. So we'll see how it goes.
I'll tell you right now, we are super conversational.
Yeah.
It's not live, so we can go through. And if you make
Yeah.
a mistake, we make a mistake, we'll cut it out, we'll edit it.
Okay, cool. I was going to ask you that. Like, do we have room to edit here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Then we're good.
All right. So if you're good and you're ready, we can just
Mhm.
get after it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. So why don't you start out and tell us everything up to your journey leading up to living in yellow, and then why you decided to take a leap into blogging.
Okay, 10 years ago is when I started living in yellow, but pre the blog, I was working at a credit union. Absolutely loved it. Like, loved the people there, really loved the job. And so I wasn't unhappy in my work. I just have always wanted that, like, something extra for me to pour some, I guess, creative energy into. And I've always just been really intrigued by business. While I was working at the credit union, on the side, I'd be like making business plans for like a macaroni and cheese store, or like a winery or something. Like I wanted my own thing, but I just didn't know what it was. And so back, yeah, like in 2010, I guess 2009, I started reading blogs. And I just was really intrigued by this concept of people just sharing about their lives, really kind of in this like online diary format where it was this like strangers to me, but I all of a sudden felt really connected to them and their stories. And like I looked forward to these daily updates of their life. So it was this really new concept to me. And so I was reading this one blog in particular, Little Miss Mama is the name of the blog. And she was just, like posting pictures of like her living room decor and talking about her kids. And I noticed, so she was sharing her life, but I also noticed she was monetizing on the side of the blog through ads and stuff. And so I was like, oh, well, that's kind of cool. Like this has to be making some money for her. So it is a business in some way, but it feels really personable. And so I like told my husband one evening at like the kitchen counter, I was like, hey, there's these things called blogs and they're just like online diaries, but I think you can maybe like make some money from it and maybe I should try it. And I had no experience like writing, taking photos, nothing. I knew nothing. And so he's like, okay, well, for it to be a business, you have to have an audience. So like, good luck, Not that he doesn't support me, but he's also a realist.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, challenge accepted. And so it was February 1st of 2010. So I'm in Indiana and it snowed a ton that day. So work was shut down. And so I'm just this like bored girl at home, not knowing what to do. And I was like, you know what, maybe today I'll just like start a blog. So I went to, at that time, it was blogspot.com. I was sitting there trying to come up with a name for the blog because I hadn't given any thought to it prior to this morning of what my blog would be. And so I see this yellow sweater just hanging in the closet of the room I was sitting in. And the sweater caught my eye and I was like, hey, like yellow, I always turn to yellow when it's a gray day here in Indiana or I'm just feeling blah. I know I'm going to need a pick me up. So I was just like thinking about how like yellow is that color I turn to like live intentionally with joy. So I came up with living in yellow, which really just means like living with joy, which is something I've always tried to infuse on the blog is just this like positive spirit and energy. So yeah, on February 1st, 2010, I created living in yellow. I think I bought like a $10 template on Etsy or something. I don't know. And had a design and hit publish on my first blog post. And that was the start. So yeah, that's how it began.
That's awesome. I think like you think of like sunshine and
yes,
happiness in general.
just happiness. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, kind of when I started the blog, I was like, okay, I really want just this space to be like somewhere where somebody can come and they're going to walk away from it feeling hopefully better than when they showed up. So I always wanted to have like humor and just like I said, a positive kind of vibe going on there. So that was always my goal from day one. So yeah. That's living in yellow and how it started.
That's awesome. How long did you blog before you, one, realized you yourself could start monetizing and then took the leap to walk away from your 9 to 5?
Okay, so there's like a lot of time that passes in between those two questions. So I realized pretty early on, fortunately, that I felt like I had the potential to be able to monetize. So I started in February, and I remember I had a goal of having 200 followers by June. And so I was like, when I have 200 followers, I can start monetizing. And when I say start monetizing, it was like $5 for like a little ad space on my blog.
Yeah.
So it was like $5 if you put an ad on my blog, $10 if you want to do a guest post. So I was like stoked when I hit 200 followers and I put it out there and I made like $30 for the month. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a business, you know? So I kind of kept with that model, I would say, for like a year. And then within the year, I was starting to be able to work with some brands, maybe smaller brands, but that were willing to pay $100 for a post. And so I kind of just stayed in this, I guess, like spot for a few years where I was making, I mean, every year would pass and I was starting to make a little more money and a little more money to where it was like, okay, that's like a nice like side gig, not going to replace my, main income, which was fine because I was still like not in a spot where I even wanted to leave the credit union. And so it wasn't until like 2016, so 6 years of blogging. I'm just like doing this. I'm blogging every day. I am bringing in money. It's nothing to like write home about, but I was still proud of it. So in 2016, I went to this conference for like bloggers and just online creative businesses called Alt Summit. And I was sitting there listening to a speaker on the stage she had been in the blogging space for a few years, and she was talking about her team. And I just sat there and I was like, holy crap, this woman has like done enough to where she can hire employees to be able to work for her blog. Like that is so cool. And so I remember leaving the session, I was like, whoa, like, why have I never had the true grasp on like, this could be big if I like wanted it to be? Like I felt like for years I was just like settling with like, this is good, but I never thought like, oh, I could make 6 or 7 figures from this. So it was like, as soon as I walked out of that class, seminar, whatever, I was like, I'm going to do that. Like, I'm going to build a business where I'm hiring people and I'm like making like adult woman income, like something that like I want to be proud of. It was in 2016 where I decided like, oh, I'm going to experiment with affiliate marketing. So it was a revenue source I hadn't tried before. Up until that point, I had just been working through like brand sponsorships and ads that ran on my blog, but I hadn't done much with affiliate marketing. And I don't know if you guys know what that is, but essentially it's where I'm just able to share items that I'm purchasing or wearing and loving via like a commissionable link. So if I post it and somebody clicks on it and they purchase it, then I would get a small commission from that company. So I had seen like others being successful with it. I didn't understand how they were being successful with it, but I was like, I'm going to try it. So I bought a pair of shoes intentionally to like share. Like I love the shoes, but I was like, I'm going to buy them and I'm going to see how my audience responds to this one pair of shoes. And they were like $100, which for me at the time was a lot of money to spend on shoes. I had not been buying $100 pair, dollars worth of shoes before. So my husband was like, what are you doing? I'm like, just trust me. I'm just going to try this. So I posted the shoes and a lot of people in my community bought the shoes. So like it quickly paid for my investment of the shoes. So I'm like, okay, well, that kind of worked. I'm going to keep shopping and I'm going to keep sharing. And so that's kind of what started the whole affiliate journey. And I don't know how much you want me to go here, but
Great.
basically it was when I started sharing my outfits, because I guess I should say this, sorry. When I started living in yellow, it was very like online diary. It wasn't like a niche blog to fashion or food, or it was just like anything. So I never focused in one area before this. And so when I started sharing more clothing, I was just learning more and more. She's really responding to this when I do that. So I'm going to keep doing more of this because I'm enjoying it and she's responding. So why not? And so I started posting to my Facebook page for Living in Yellow that I had started back in 2010, but like never put any energy into. So I think like 6 years in, I had 5,000 Facebook followers. So that was in 2016. I was like, so I also had an Instagram account.
Yep.
And at that time, and still is, the popular thing to do is for a lot of these fashion bloggers to post their photos on Instagram. And then there's certain apps that women can use to shop that photo. And so I started trying that in 2016, and my audience just wasn't loving that they had to have this other app and then check their email to get the links. It just didn't seem that intuitive, I guess, to
Yeah.
my audience. They wanted like a quick, like, just give me the link, you know?
Yep.
So I was like, okay, how can I do this? The wise decision. I was like, okay, just email me and I'll email you links, which was so stupid because A, I hate email, and B, like as soon as you start getting tons of emails, you're over it, you know? So quickly I was like, that's not going to work. So then I thought, oh, Facebook, you can actually post like links that people can click on, because Instagram, unfortunately, you can't really, you know?
Right.
So I started posting on Facebook, and I would just tell people on Instagram, like, hey, go over to my Facebook page, Living in Yellow. It's there, it's easy. So in 2016, it went from 5,000 followers to 100,000 followers pretty quick from just like directing my audience there. But also I started to get really good at like Facebook ads and boosting and targeting audiences. So I was able to grow that pretty quickly. Which has now turned into, there's over 600,000 women on our Facebook page that come to just like shop the daily outfits and deals that we post. So yeah, it's really taken on a life of its own, but that's kind of the backstory.
That's
in
cool.
a lot of words.
Yeah, no, I bet a lot of people don't know the story, which is cool.
Yeah.
If we can go back just a little bit, when you left that conference, can you talk a little bit about how you just like kept that motivation? I know like some of the conferences I've gone, you leave that conference, you go back to your workplace.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to do this. And then
Right.
it fizzles off at the
Yeah.
end. I know I'm guilty of
Yeah.
it. How did you keep
Oh, totally.
Yeah, that conference, that speaker really spoke
Right.
to me, and I kept that fire going of
Yeah.
this.
That's a good question, because I think it's easy to fall victim to that. Like, you go to the conference, you're on the high, and then 10 days later, you totally forget anything you took in. I think for me, it was just like I came home and I took action like immediately. And for me, action was like trying this whole affiliate marketing. So I like ordered the shoes, saw the result, and then when you see a good result, you want to keep acting. So I think for me, because I decided to, like, at the conference, I kind of had formulated like, okay, I'm going to try this new revenue source when I get home. So I went home and I just like tried it immediately. And because I saw success in it, I had that like drive and motivation to keep going. Obviously, if I would have, say, this could have gone totally differently. I could have bought the shoes, posted the shoes, nobody bought them. I would have lost motivation probably quickly, but fortunately it went the other way. So yeah, I guess I would just say I came home and I like took action immediately on one tangible like thing that I could do, you know?
Good tip. Yeah, I just think
Yeah.
you can go back home and think about it and talk
Oh
about
yeah.
it, and then it just like,
Yes.
out and
Right. And I'm the queen of just like, I want to think about it. You know, like like you come home and you're like, okay, I have like 30 thoughts. I need to process them all and figure out which one. But I have found where my successes come from is like when you just act, you know, like.
So you had mentioned kind of overcoming the hurdle with like figuring out how to links to your clients, your audience. I think it's really cool. You didn't really know anything, much about affiliate marketing or like going out and buying the shoes and trying it and figuring it out. Can you talk about maybe some of the other hurdles that you've experienced or moments of failure and how you rebound from that?
Yes. So a few things. I mean, like really entering the entire industry I'm in, I think I said this earlier, but like I knew nothing. Like I didn't know how to write a blog post. I didn't know how to upload photos. Like I knew nothing. And I think that served as an advantage because it took away that like, I'm not a perfectionist. I never have been, but I think that has worked to my advantages in some cases where like, I don't feel like I have to have it all figured out in order to do it. It's just like, hey, I'm going to learn as I go. So I would say like, obviously just not knowing was a hurdle, but also a benefit because it forced me to do the work to figure it out. But other hurdles I've experienced, I think just like when you have an online presence with a larger community, you're always open to that like negative feedback and criticism,
Yeah.
especially behind a computer. Like there's a lot of words that can be spewed without an identity. And so like I know when I experienced that early on, like I really let it like hit me and hurt me and like force me to like wrestle with like, do I want this forever? You know, like, is this something that I'm feeling is worth, you know, dealing with? But also I would say another like one benefit is I have pretty good way of like reframing negatives to positives and I quickly forget about negative things. So I've had a lot of failures but when you say that, I'm like, I don't know if I've had any failures, like, which sounds probably ignorant, but like, I just don't hold on to negativity much, which has helped with negative criticism. And over the years, I've just learned, like, I saw something the other day and it was like, don't take criticism from somebody you wouldn't go to advice for. And that really struck me as like, okay, that is so true because I really value the opinions of those that like I love and I know support me. But like, yeah, if I wouldn't go to you for advice, I don't know how much I should also value like your critique, you know? So
Oh,
I
absolutely.
don't know. But that's been like a lesson I've had to relearn. Every time a negative comment comes in, you know, there's that part that wants to like latch onto it and focus on it. So that's been a hurdle. Yeah, I mean, we've had failures for sure. Like we've tried, okay, actually, this is a failure in my hands, this mug. So you don't have to air this stuff, but if you want, whatever, I don't care.
No,
So
that's
this mug says lemon drop, and it was a few months ago. I was really like feeling like, hey, how do we build a stronger community? Like, how do we get these women who are all on our Facebook page to feel like they're actually a part of something? Because, you know, just like hanging out on a Facebook page where you're just going there to get deals, you don't necessarily feel like you're in community with the other people that are there. So I was like, how can we like really strengthen this community? So our team is like, oh, well, what if we like give them a name and we kind of like try to like create this whole thing around it and build hype. So we came up with the term lemon drop. So like lemon drop. So obviously yellow, you know, lemons and whatever. We were like, oh, that's cute. So we started calling our community lemon drops. Well, our community did not love that. So we put it out like, hey guys, we came up with a name, you know, lemon drops, blah, blah, blah. And at first we got like good feedback. So we like ran with that feedback quick and we're like, we're making mugs, we're making t-shirts, we're making sweatshirts. So we like make all this merch. And then like a month or two after, we're like saying lemon drops, we're starting to get this feedback of like, I hate this name. And why are you calling me something childish? And all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we just invested thousands of dollars into merch that says lemon drops and now they hate it. So this is a failure. We're not going to sell these. We have like hundreds of them out in the office, but I'm like, you know what? That's just like something I'm just going to learn is like, that was a failed experiment, but fortunately we can still just like move on and put it behind us. So if you guys need some lemon drop mugs, I have about 500 I could ship you. So there you go.
you just need to mix up a lemon drop cocktail and
I know, exactly. Yeah, I'll serve cocktails all day in those things. So yeah, we've definitely had our like moments of like, well, that didn't work out as we had hoped, but fortunately I've been able to just roll with the punches and keep going. So
I would
yeah.
think that's, you know, one of the questions we wanted to ask you is, you know, what is your superpower?
Oh yeah.
I feel like, would that be one of them? Like just the way you take negativity or negative feedback,
Yeah.
flip it and make the
Yes.
best of it?
Yeah. I think, do you guys know anything about Enneagram stuff? Are you guys Enneagram guys?
I
Kind
No.
of, sort of.
I know of it. I know what it is.
Okay.
I even inquired on like going out and taking the test to figure out what I was, but I haven't
Yeah.
gotten that far yet.
Oh, well, you should. So many people eat up Enneagram stuff. It's great podcast episodes if you ever need some
Yeah.
stuff. But anyhow, yeah. So I'm a 7, and this is going to mean nothing to you. But one of our strengths slash weakness is that I definitely do reframe everything somehow into be like a positive situation and just let go of negative emotion, which serves me well, I think, in business. It doesn't necessarily serve me well in all areas of life. Yeah, I think always being able to kind of look at like, here's what happened and here's what we learned, and like, here's how we can move forward. I just don't hold on to setbacks because I guess I don't see the value in that. Like, I think there is value in like debriefing and asking yourself the questions of why didn't this work and what can we learn from it. But I don't want to stay there because that's like a really boring place for me to stay. Like, I want to keep moving. And so yeah, so I would say that. And then I think along the superpower thing of what has served me well in business is just like thinking and acting, and not like, if I have an idea and I think it's going to be a good one, I'm willing to just put myself out there and see if it's going to work. And if it does, amazing. And if it doesn't, like, oh, well, I didn't really lose much, you know? So that's my big thing, is like, I'm really good at just like acting quickly on ideas. So I would say that's maybe a superpower. I don't overthink things too much.
Progress over perfection.
Oh, yeah. I tell that to people all the time. Like, done is better than perfect. So, yeah.
So one of my questions was about consistency and the consistency of showing up for your audience. And I went back, I did a bunch of research. I went back to as far as I could go back on your archives on the blog.
Mm-hmm.
February 17th, 2011, you wrote a blog about reading something where it said you have to post every single day and you were going to do it.
Yeah.
And so then I got curious. I'm like, I wonder if she's still following through
Yeah.
with this. And I went through every single 2020.
Oh, my word.
that
You've been busy.
So 2020, it was right around 738 pictures or posts that you put out there
On the blog?
on the, like, for your shopping links,
Oh,
different outfits, like 738 different outfits in 2020.
I'm so confused. Where were you at? On the blog or on Facebook? Or,
On your website.
yeah, you were on the blog. Okay. Wow. So I guess we put out some content.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so definitely consistency has been key for me. And I think that's just like, I think there's a misconception of blogging that like you can do it and like quickly make money. And I'm like, I did not start making a real income for about 6 years. And that was of me like literally posting every single day. So I've always, yeah, somehow have stayed consistent with it. But yeah, so we don't post every single day on the blog now, but we usually post like, I would say 4 times a week. But then Facebook is our main revenue source. And we post, this is like absurd, but 15 to 20 times a day there every single day. Yeah. So definitely consistency and just work. I feel like I'm in a content business, right? Like everybody is like waiting for the next piece of content to consume. I guess it's what we do, is create content. So we're constantly creating content. But yeah, so there's a lot that gets published.
Yeah, that's super impressive.
Fortunately, I have a team now to help with that.
Yeah.
So that helps.
How did you go about building your team? It's kind of one of the things that Matt and I were talking about was, you have this vision, kind of what was your process, even after you left the conference, kind of going back to that again.
Yeah.
That person built their team.
Right.
Was it like, if they have a good heart and they believe in your vision, maybe not the most skilled in social media, but they can learn it type of thing? Or was it looking for this?
Yeah.
Or if somebody's in the position of wanting to start building a team, I guess, how did you go about that?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So I hired my first employee in the it was like January of 2017 before I even quit my job. So I was still working when I had my first full-time employee, which is kind of funny. But yeah, so I just like, when I left that conference and I just had this like true vision of me sitting around a table of other women that were coming up with ideas together, I felt like I just like kept like visualizing it and like manifesting, like that's going to happen. Like I'm going to have a table of women that's helping me run this business. And so, yeah, by the end of 2016, it was to the point where my income was starting to pick up, my workload was picking up, and I knew I could use some help. And so I like sat down and I just wrote a list of like, here's all the things that I could use help with right now, like tasks that need done. But then here's a list of all the things that if I had somebody else, I could possibly do. So like really looking at the opportunity that would be possible if I had this person. And so actually when I made my first hire, it wasn't really to do any of the tasks that were on my plate. It was like, oh, hey, you're creative and know how to do graphics, and I don't know how to do any of that. And so you would be great here. And that's kind of like, I feel like I've always hired for opportunity. I think that there's a lot of people who think you kind of have to have let's start with resources. Like, I think a lot of people are like, well, if I had the money to hire, then I could hire. But I view it as like, well, if you make the hire, then you're going to have the money. Like I look for opportunity before, and some people might think that's like so crazy and really risky, but it has served me really well in my business. So I kind of stand by it. But yeah, so when I was building the team, I was really just like building a team around things that I wanted to do. And I saw that like this person would be able to help us do that. And so I'm so thankful. Every girl that I've hired has been absolutely amazing, and we work so well as a team. I don't even remember what your question was, but fortunately, everybody I've hired has really been attached to our mission at Living in Yellow, which is just to provide a fun space for girlfriends to gather through real talk and attainable fashion. But I feel like woman I've hired has like believed in that mission of like, we're here to serve these women in a positive way. And it's worked out really well. And we've been able to accomplish a lot more than I would have ever been able to accomplish on my own. So yeah, I've always just like hired for opportunity.
Yeah. That's an awesome point. I think such a mind shift too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I can't hire this person because I can't, like what you said, I can't afford it. But
right.
when I
Yeah.
hire this person, what they can do for me and the revenue that they can bring in and how they can help
right.
the community.
Oh yeah.
Customers.
Yeah. When I hired, so in 2017, I hired so I had no employees. And then in the first year of hiring, I hired 3 full-time people, and we increased our revenue to like by 500% or more, something crazy. But so yeah, it's definitely investing in my business has paid off in big ways.
I'm going to go back to that first pair of shoes that you bought.
Yeah. Would you like a pair? I'll send you a link. Just kidding. Kidding.
So when you bought those shoes, I want to talk about like building relationships with your brands and the companies.
Yeah.
How did you go about, obviously starting small, you bought the pair of shoes. How did you go about, getting a link to then be able to send out? And how did you then go, as you've progressed through this journey, how have you built relationships with bigger brands like Nordstrom's, Express?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So that's a great question. So so 2 things. One, there's a few different affiliate companies that you can work with. And so in our industry, I've chosen to work with, it's called Shop Style, but they're like an influencer marketing agency. And so essentially like almost any link that we put out there is produced through Shop Style. But so there's thousands of brands that are signed up on their network that allow us to turn just like a regular URL into a affiliate link. And so really how I've built my relationships with brands is that I would just choose to buy an item from, say, Nordstrom, because they've been a great partner with us. So I would just shop Nordstrom a lot. So I was, putting my own money into like the products that I really loved and thought my audience would love. And by doing that and posting about them, all of a sudden Nordstrom's starting to notice, like, why did we just sell 300 pairs of those shoes? Like, it would create curiosity in them, like, what happened there? And so it kind of started to send, I feel like, Nordstrom or other brands employees on this hunt of like, where did that come from? And so fortunately, they would find themselves back to our page of like, oh my gosh, Living in Yellow posted again. And we just sold hundreds of that sweater. And so we've just built great brand relationships organically from me just shopping those items and posting them, and then them seeing the results of it and being like, okay, we want to like have more of this. So how can we partner now together to do something bigger? So yeah, so we've launched a couple of clothing lines at Nordstrom in collaboration with a brand that exists at Nordstrom, Gibson, and it was kind of that situation where the founder of Gibson was like, why have we sold so many blazers? And she found us and she's like, oh my gosh, we got to talk. And so we talked, and then we started doing these Gibson Living in Yellow collaborations that have been sold at Nordstrom and then also on Gibson's own site. But that's how we've built a lot of our relationships with brands, is just from me choosing to post it and post it, and people have responded well. But alongside that, Shop Style has also done the work to bring us like new brands that we could partner with. And then I have Steph on the team who she also will reach out to brands and keep those relationships alive. So I would say it's through a few avenues, but the most successful avenue has just been organically posting and the brand like finding out and being like, wow, that's really cool. Let's keep working together, So
That's got to feel really great to know that you built it organically. You went out and spent your own money, and like these massive companies came back to you. That is super cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really like a lot cooler, but though when it's like a small company and it's like they have no, like this Etsy shop, you buy something and you post and they're like, oh my gosh, I just like made my year's worth of salary from that. Like those things are really cool when you feel like you're having that impact on like a small business owner. And so those are fun to establish as well. But yeah, it's been really cool just to like kind of do it organically and see where it's led. So yeah.
I think you mentioned this before, not on this podcast, but like the number of followers you have. Can you talk about just their engagement level and how you built your following up organically?
Yeah.
I feel like, you buying the clothes with your money and the clothes that you like, that the audience like, maybe if you did that vice versa, it may not have worked out like, oh, I want to buy these for my audience, but I just don't like.
Yeah.
These, but
right.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about the conversion in your sales and just how engaged your audience is compared to like if you had a massive audience, maybe?
Right. Yeah. So I think that's just like one thing that has always been important and like a value of mine is just like putting out something that yes, I really love and I would actually wear, because I just feel like, there's no benefit to us selling something to somebody and them getting it and hating it, because they'll either return it, which then we don't get commission for, and meanwhile it's lessening their trust in us. So I think from day one of me posting clothes, I was very open about it, and it sounds like something small, but just like literally posting the size that I'm wearing and the suggestion for like, hey, this runs big, size down, because it kind of takes that guesswork out of online shopping for them. So I've always been transparent about sizing, about the quality. So we have like an Amazon finds and fails Facebook group where we'll just like, we order stuff from Amazon and we're like, hey, this is great, or like, hey, this really sucks, do not buy this. So I think keeping that honest conversation going of like, I got this, I wanted to love it, it didn't work, but here it is, And so I think just being transparent in that way has helped build that loyal following where they feel like if they make the purchase, they can trust that it's going to be the quality or the should fit how we say it should fit. So that's helped a lot in creating that converting customer. I should know what our conversion rate is for the year, but it sounds low, but it's probably like 2 to 3%. I think industry average is 1% in like the influencer industry. So yeah, I mean, our followers, I feel like are loyal followers who trust what we say, and we don't take that for granted. And I don't ever want to risk losing that. So we've had plenty of, I feel like, brand partnerships where like the brand is going to pay us a flat fee, and we've committed to that partnership of like, okay, yeah, we'll work with you, send us the product, we'll post about it. And then the product arrives and it's like, no, like this is not going to work. And so we have to go back and say like, sorry, take your money back. We're not comfortable with doing this. But yeah, so I feel like you just have to keep your customer top of mind all the time. So that's what we've tried to do.
That's cool that
Yeah.
you are sticking to your authentic self.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
I have a question that I think people might be interested in.
Yeah.
How often does your wardrobe turn over?
I mean, this is like so for that, but like new packages, like multiple packages arrive every single day. So, I mean, it is constantly changing because it's just like any business, like you invest in your inventory, right? And so, like, our inventory is clothing. And so, I always have to have new clothing to be able to post about, because our reader does not love when you post and it's out of stock in her size. So, it's like we're shopping all the time. And it sounds great, but it's actually like it's to the point where it's like, please, no more clothes. I don't want to see any more clothes in my closet. But yeah, it's constantly evolving or changing. Yeah.
Awesome.
So would you say, since you took that leap and started this, would you say
Mhm.
is living in yellow where you thought it would be? Like, is this what you envisioned? Are you living your dream, or
Hmm.
is this what you thought it would be?
Hmm. I did not think it would be this. It's way better than what I thought. So I'm so thankful that it is what it is because I never like envisioned it to be at this capacity. I feel like every day I'm still like wrapping my mind around like this is what this business is and like this is what it's doing and it's incredible and I am so grateful. But yes, I am living my dream. And I think it's just so fun to be in an industry that like you get to write your own rules. So, and this is just for an entrepreneurship in general. Like I love that I get to control what I'm doing and what my next idea could be, and that I have the power to act on that. And I don't have to go to anybody else and ask, like, hey, is this possible? I just get to make that decision and see if it works. So I love just like entrepreneurship that that like every day I wake up and it's like, I wonder what opportunity is going to come my way today or like what idea could be next. So yeah, I'm definitely, I would say, living my dream and I'm so happy for it.
What's next for Living in Yellow? What can listeners and your followers expect in 2021?
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of things in the works. So we, in the last like year or two, which is kind of funny because it's not fashion related at all, but we started manufacturing our own products of planners and gratitude journals, which has been just like a fun like passion project of mine. Um, so we launched our planners and gratitude journals just recently, the journal. And then right now we're working on some like LIY merch where we'll sell that on our Shopify site. But we are working on our own clothing brand that's going to be sold at a major retailer that I can't announce yet. But it's launching very soon. And so that's like amazing. We got all the like first sample pieces in, and to see your label on a piece of clothing that is going to be sold to like thousands of people is really cool. So our own clothing brand is in the works. We have a new website, a whole new blog and rebranding site coming. So a whole new look will be coming soon. We're calling it an ambassador program, but we're hiring probably 5 or so additional women to post photos of themselves in clothing on our social media channels. So we're really trying to just expand who we're appealing to. So bringing in a more diverse, I don't want to say modeling base, but just a more diverse group of women so that more women can come to Living in Yellow and feel like I belong here. So we're launching that ambassador program soon and probably some few other fun things in the works, but our own clothing brand being probably the most exciting.
All right. One more question off of that. You answered part of
Yeah.
it, that you're starting an ambassador program where other people are going to be wearing your clothing, but
Mm-hmm.
you look out, let's say long-term vision,
Mm-hmm.
do you think you'll always be in the spotlight posting pictures, or do you have a dream of maybe stepping away and being more of a
Mm-hmm.
figurehead within the company? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally, yes. I've asked myself this a lot. I feel like living in yellow is definitely like my baby. And like, I am so a part of living in yellow, the brand.
Yeah.
And I definitely think like over the years, it has shifted because I do have a team now, and our community for the most part knows the team. Like they post pictures of themselves. It's not just all me all the time. So I feel like we have kind of taken steps towards it being not just like a I'm the face of it, but like here's the team. But I don't, at least right now, I don't see a day where I would not be a part of it in a big way. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Well, this has been great, Erin.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Of awesome tips. And if you could choose one, I guess, for our listeners that
Mhm.
are thinking about taking a leap or wanting, like they know what their passion is and their dream is, but they're
Mm,
maybe afraid to pursue it. They don't want to leave the 9 to 5. It's safe. Like what would
right.
be your one tip that you could give them of just taking that leap?
Yeah. So like it's so cliche and simple, but like action creates opportunity, right? So like you have to just like jump in and do the thing. And I was thinking about this the other, like action creates opportunity, but alongside that, like patience is also so necessary, I feel like, in entrepreneurship. So I think I wrote something down the other day where it was like action creates opportunity, and like action over a long period of time creates like a changed life. And so that's just like do the thing and take the next step, whatever that next step looks like, because nothing's going to change until you just like do it. So that's my big thing. Like, stop thinking, start acting, and in 10 years, you'll be so grateful you did. So that's my advice.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, we really
There you go.
appreciate you agreeing to come on to your first podcast.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. It was so fun.
Was it, is it what you expected?
It's better than I expected. No, you guys made it super easy. You guys are great, just conversationalists and chill, low key, not too intimidating. So thank you guys for being good hosts.
Probably threw you for a loop, and it's probably my fault, but I don't know if you can see.
Oh, yes, the Shop My Closet page.
Yeah, the shop my closet.
You counted those?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I just wanted to see.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. So
That's awesome. Okay, yes. Yeah, so lots of outfits there. I can't believe you counted that.
yeah,
What did you say it was? Like 738 or something?
738 that were still up, and maybe some have come down.
Yeah.
And some of them even have like multiple outfits in the picture. So it's like, she is trying on.
Oh my gosh.
Clothes.
Yeah. I hate freaking changing clothes, by the way. Yeah, it happens a lot, but yeah.
And I went back. I think I read. I went to 2011, 2012.
Wow.
A bunch. So it was super.
You guys do your research.
It was awesome.
That's impressive.
You guys should definitely do it. You guys should look into doing a podcast. I think you guys would have a really good
Yeah, I mean, I think it could be fun. Like, I love asking people questions. Like I could chat and get to hear people's stories all day. I love that. So I think there's parts of it I would really enjoy. But like, how much time does it take of you guys?
It is so easy to get started. You hop on Buzzsprout, an RSS feed that punches your podcast out to all the different, Spotify, Pandora, Apple, and you literally just upload it, hit the button to publish. We really try not to get hung up on perfection. So
good for you guys.
we try not to edit, things out of the middle. We
Yeah.
at the start, we edit the end, and it's an hour to do an interview like this typically.
Yeah.
And an hour to come up, talk about questions and strategize. So it's not a lot. And I think for for you, I think affiliate marketing is today, you see it all over the internet being posted. I think it's kind of blowing up as
Mm.
one of the new ways to make money. And I think a lot of people don't really know how to even begin. And I think it'd be super
Oh, yeah.
like you and your whole team, like, hey, this is what we're doing today. This is how this is going.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be,
Yeah.
doesn't have to be a 45-minute podcast.
Right.
You can put in bonus episodes where our mashup we did yesterday was 7 minutes.
Oh,
Give it out
yeah.
2020 guests and like
Oh,
intro music behind it, and just like try to make a story out of it, like
right.
leap and then building relationships and how they're successful.
Yeah.
You'd have a 2-minute podcast of like what you told us, like tips of being successful in affiliate marketing.
Right. Yeah. Are you guys Gary Vee fans?
Yeah.
I feel like people either love him or hate him. I kind of love him, but he does like I feel like a lot of those like mash quick things that get your interest.
And he's got a huge following, right? And he's got a huge team.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
he throws out 30 pieces of content a day.
Oh yeah, he's like content crazy. So when you guys do your podcast, are you like recording the video as well to do like on YouTube or anything like that?
Yeah, right now we have about half of the episodes up on YouTube.
Okay.
That piece has taken me a little bit longer to learn. So we're slowly getting to the hang of like editing the video and getting
Oh, right.
by February we will have all the videos up.
Ah, that's exciting. So are you guys hoping, and sorry if you already do this, to monetize the podcast?
That's part of the goal. When we initially sat down, we had talked about doing like online courses for sales and marketing
Oh, yeah.
and like running ads, like boosting Facebook ads.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And then we were like, well, wait, we don't have an audience. So why don't we start a podcast and find other high level achievers, people that
Right.
have pursued their dreams. And that's how we'll build the audience.
Yeah.
Enjoy this.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that's the easy part. And then we'll figure out how to make money after the fact.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. So this is kind of like your first step into the long-term plan.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's been cool.
Very cool.
We're in Duluth, Minnesota. It's just a lot of
Oh, yeah.
small, well, it's a big small town, but a lot of local
Yeah.
does that,
Small
like,
businesses, population
Yeah.
with surrounding towns, 100,000.
Oh, yeah.
they're just like they're thanking us, like, thank you for what you're doing to get our word out there and help others. And
Yeah.
we
Well, I saw, didn't you guys just do, was it a coffee shop?
Yeah, so we did a live at the coffee shop. We know one of the owners there, Shannon of Yellow Bike Coffee.
Yes. Yeah.
And she's really helped us. She's given us the space for free. She lets us, go and record their work there for free. So
That's nice.
and she was actually our very first interview. And we were so nervous that we decided we're going to re-record that one. Here in 2021.
and Matt couldn't stop moving, and we're like, all right, we're gonna do that some other time.
That's funny. Do you guys get nervous now? Or are you like totally cool?
It depends.
It's like a game.
Yeah.
I played basketball my whole life. For me, it's just like little butterflies before.
Right.
So the game starts. Then
Yeah.
My sister lives out in LA and she dates a music producer for Disney.
Oh, okay.
So he was in town for the holidays and we interviewed him and he helped us buy all this fancy microphone equipment and we interviewed him and we started out a little rocky. I built that podcast up in my head so much that I was like, oh, did I start that right? Oh, like everything had to be perfect. By the end, it was great. And we need to redo that whole thing. I was so nervous. Like, dude, you're a music producer, like making money. Like, what are you nervous for being on our podcast? So,
he was so nervous.
He was so nervous. Like, I was nervous. And when we finished, he's like, we got to scrap that whole thing. I want to do it all over. I'm like, it was great. We're going to 2.0.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Awesome.
All right. Well, anything else you guys need? Or I guess so what are our next steps?
Yeah. So here's where we're at. We have 2 already set to publish over the next 2 weeks coming up.
Okay.
So you'd be 3 weeks out from
Okay.
last Tuesday.
Yeah.
We'll shoot you or Steph a message saying, hey, just so you
Okay.
know,
Perfect.
the podcast is coming out. Yeah, and that's really it. We throw out, Instagram posts, Facebook posts,
Yeah.
and if you want to post about it,
Yeah.
we'll get you our logo.
I might like listen to it first, and then as long as I'm like, okay, it's not like I didn't say anything, I guess I would regret anybody hearing, so it should be totally fine. But yeah, I would love to share.
All right, I will. What
It's
I'll
not
do?
every day I'm doing podcasts.
Yeah,
that's
no, this
great.
is
Yeah.
great. Yeah, I'll get you a copy and we'll shoot it over
Okay.
to you via email. You
Cool.
give us the go ahead, and we're good to
Yeah.
go.
Sounds good. Awesome. Well, looking forward to hearing it and sharing it and all that jazz. So
Awesome, Erin. We appreciate it.
hey, thank you. Yes. Nice to meet you both.